Hi, Fix-It Tony here. I am in the middle of a project, and this project is to better acoustically isolate my two sons' bedrooms from one another. So I'm in one of my son's bedrooms, and I'm in the process of installing these hexagon acoustic panels, and my son's helping me, and I'll kind of show you, how we're doing it. But I realized I should have made this a video sooner, so I'm going to have to sort of narrate sort of what I did. So the issue is basically it's a 2x4 stud wall between two bedrooms. The wall itself is not insulated. So first and foremost, hindsight's 2020. I should have insulated the walls when the house was being constructed for sound, and include sound deadening drywall. So suffice to say, you find yourself in a situation like many of us do is after the fact. So what can you do? What are your options? Aside from ripping everything down and starting over. So here's what I did. There's some things you can't really change about the construction of your home. So for example, cold air return, we have an upper and a lower, and this lower and that upper is for this bedroom. In the other bedroom, the upper and lower cold air returns are on this side. So basically these two wall cavities all the way up can't have any insulation in the walls because you have to maintain airflow. So that's a problem. Acoustical drywall could have solved that problem, but again, time, energy, effort, I just wasn't interested in doing it. And I was just trying to maximize what I can do. So what I did was I drilled 4.5-inch holes in all of the cavities at the top, and I rented from Home Depot a blow-in insulation machine, and I got some blow-in insulation, sort of recycled fiber product. I made sure my furnace fan was off, my door was shut. I probably should have done some other good dust control measures, so you were spared the mess that it makes. But suffice to say, I blew in insulation in all of the wall cavities and filled it up with insulation. That made an improvement, a noticeable improvement right away, just from two people being on either side. The next step that we're going to do is these acoustical panels. So these fiber panels, it's about 4/10 of an inch thick. You can sort of see it's pretty dense. We changed our minds. We're not using beige, so we're only going to use gray and black. So my son has creative freedom to install a smattering of gray amongst a main background of black. While we were at it, we did repaint the bedroom. So what you see in terms of the beige right now is just dry fitted so that we could get a sense of our gray pattern. And then these are just going to get removed and replaced with black, and we'll kind of walk you through that. What I am using is just brad nails, finishing nails on I have a cordless nail gun. I'll show you how that works. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to actually stack a couple of these together to give sort of three-dimensional look. So next time you see us, we'll be doing some nailing, and we'll have to do some fitting across the walls. I'll show you how to cut those pieces and just generally an idea on how this will work. So I am using a cordless brad nailer or finish nailer because I don't want to have compressors and air hoses, and what I'm using is 1.25" or 32 millimeter brad nails. These are 18 gauge, and I got these at your home center. So the first thing I'm going to do is replace the cream panels that are used just for placement of our gray panels. So I'm going to just slide that one out, and then I'm going to place this one in, and I'm making sure it's tight here, here, and here. So it's going to require some pushing, right? And then push my nail gun in and shoot the nail. And I kind of go four nails, and that'll hold it in place. Next one. I'm not drawing any lines on the wall. I started in the top right-hand corner. I didn't put enough space between the ceiling and that first piece because my drywall ceiling is a little wavy. I estimated what I thought I would need to be able to clear the rest of the ceiling, but I might run into problems here and there. But then I made sure I went down vertically, and I used a small torpedo level so that I can place it underneath here, right? And I'm generally level over 5 inches, but you can be a hair off, and then over 12 feet it can still haunt you. The key thing is making sure your gaps are tight, so I'm pushing up. And I get my tight seams. You see me pushing up? Okay. This cordless nailer is perfect for this. The other thing too is the nails are 1.25 inches long, 1/2 inch drywall, plus 4/10 inch paneling. So that's 0.9. So it goes through the drywall maybe like a 3/8 of an inch or so. So it's not terribly going through the wall and having a lot of waste. Because once it goes through the wall, what's past it is really not doing anything or contributing to the holding. My nailer, I like it. For this purpose, it's perfect. It has a depth adjustment. So the first few pieces, it was probably shooting a little too deep. So I was just adjusting on several pieces until I got the nail to nest just below. Because remember, this stuff is softer than wood. So it's something to keep in mind. Now sometimes the nail may not go in deep enough. In that instance, you can just get a small hammer and tap it in, or I have a putty knife. There. And that solves it. Once I'm done with these cream pieces and you get the gist for the video purposes, I will turn off the camera and we'll just work on these together, father and son. I'll bring you back when we are a little further along. All right, as you're working across the wall, as I said, there's no real guide. The guide is trying to keep the joints and the connections tight, but you also have to make sure that when you put one piece in, we're going to test fit and wrap around with dry fitted pieces only, just to make sure we know when we put one piece in, it's not going to create a cascade effect of problems. So this is where we're going to put one gray one, and now we have to ensure proper placement. So we're going to be placing tiles around to make sure we maintain our tight junctions. Okay, so we know that by putting this piece in, we're not having it, all of these pieces are sort of connected, you know, directly or indirectly. And we want them, and well, this is just for holding, we're not using these pieces. And we like that joint and the connection above it, so we think we're good. We're gonna push that in and hold it and put a nail. There. Now we know this piece is true, and as we finish our design, we know that we shouldn't run into problems as we put in the next 4 or 5 pieces. So it is a little slower process, but I think it's so far producing good results overall on the wall. Quick check-in. I have more panels coming, but we've made some progress. But the reason for this particular segment was I wanted to draw your attention to this pattern here. We decided to add some depth, and the way we did that was we simply took additional tiles and laid it on top. This center one has 2 tiles, this one has 1. You can see it creates a shadow line, creates some depth. This one is a single step, and then this one is still flush. So we're gonna play with that 3-dimensionality. We're gonna try some pattern here and maybe something with the black. So just to give you an idea that you can be creative with these tiles. What I wanted to point out is when the tiles now meet the intersecting wall, I have to cut out these triangles. And fortunately, it's pretty plumb. It's not too bad. When I come across the other side, I notice behind the door that I'll be able to use the other half right here. You know, the question is, can I make this flat right here? Can I make this flat right here and fill it in? So it'll be interesting. If I would have known, I probably would have made the same decision, starting off with a full tile over here where it's going to be seen and making sure that the space between the corner and the tile is as small as possible. So I don't think I would have changed anything, but we'll see how it all turns out. So as I earlier pointed out in the room, we're going to cut a piece like this, which will fit on the right side, which is more visible. The remaining piece will look like this, and I'm going to cut, I think it has to be, I'll have to measure it, you know, it'll be 1.5 inches or whatever it is, and then I cut it down this way. This foam cuts pretty easy, and so to make the first cut, I'm going to use a combination square because that allows me to keep the cut square as well as straight. I'm not going to use any markers because you can't really see it, and it's going to create a fat line. Always use a brand new sharp blade. After maybe 10 cuts, I may very well replace the blade. So whenever you're cutting through dense material like this or thick material, do not, my main advice is don't try to get through the cut on the first try. I would recommend at least 3 passes for this particular material because you get more control, it's safer, and you get a cleaner cut. So a sharp blade definitely works better. This is my second pass and my third pass. All right, so I think I need 8 of these. just going to continue cutting until all 8 are cut, and then we'll work on this one. All right? And next time you see me, we'll be upstairs fitting these pieces in. All right, there's my son helping put this in. You can see how those little triangle pieces that we're cutting is fitting in. That 3/16 or less space between the tile and the wall is acceptable. If you were desperate to seal it, you can get a black caulking if you want to seal it up, but it runs the risk of a mess. Or if you're going to continue on a different wall, it will be covered up with the opposing wall, but that's within my tolerances. Over here on this side, it's a little bit better against the wall, and these pieces are just slipping in just really, really well. So it's just a matter of pushing them in, tightening up the joints, and then putting a couple of nails. Then that'll be done. Across the top, I had to trim about 3/16 of an inch off the top piece for it to fit super tight. Then this becomes a half a piece that will be swapping with the piece that's down along the baseboard. All right, so my last piece is cutting a hole for this receptacle. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the receptacle cover plate. I just need to get my combination. So what I got to do after I remove the cover plate is take my combination square, make the base here flush with the bottom, raise this up and tighten it, get my depth, and transfer that line to my panel. Now, whether or not I can see the black marker, I actually can make it out very faintly. The next thing I'm going to do is go from the corner tighten that. And now I identified my spot. So here's another trick. Another trick I'm going to use is I'm going to place a pin. I'm going to place a pin or a brad right in the corner of the first piece. To make sure I got the bottom left corner, I'm going to try this again. Yeah. Okay. And then this. Yep. So I'm pretty confident that this pin represents the bottom left corner. So now, all I need to do is hold my square even to the bottom of that bottom panel again and go all the way up until I feel I'm happy with yeah, right there. This is going to be the top. This is yeah. So right. And which I over. I go to this. Do no. I'm not better. Okay. Well, so that way. And then I think this is right here. This is a real experiment. We're doing this together at the same time. Yeah. So I'm gonna take a chance and I'm putting the ruler on the inside because that'll make the hole a little bit smaller. Oh, you're not really seeing what I'm doing. All right. Let's try that again. So I'm putting the ruler on the inside of the brads. See that? Flip it around. Okay, so now I see the rough lines of my cuts. So I'm going to pull the nails out. And now I can see the lines. I need to bring my light over a little bit better. Oh, that's no good. Maybe like that. Okay. It helps to have a sharp knife. So now it's a moment of truth. Let's see this. So there, that's how it looks. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna pull this receptacle out, put special spacers that I've shown in other videos that you place behind the screw that will bring this receptacle out even to this face, such that when I replace my outlet cover, it will be flush. Now, I could go ahead and buy a black one of these and put a black one of these on. I may, but you know, that costs money. Time is money. And right now, the push is to get this done so my son can move back in his room. This could always be done later. And maybe I will do this later as a receptacle replacement. But for now, this is just going to go back to the way it was.
Well, this is the view of it completely done. And what I'm finishing up is the cold air returns. That is a source of sound transmission on a shared wall because the entire cavity has to be sort of blank or empty for air. You have the lower and the upper. So what I'm doing is with the scraps, I pieced together using scraps a double layer, trying to keep the seams from overlapping. I'm gonna go out. Go on. Wanna go out, Millie? All right. So what I'm gonna do is place this, like that. Because I need to get some double-sided tape from here. So I got some double-sided tape, and I'm going to put it just in the top, because what I'm going to do is I need to stick this to the inside wall just long enough that I can quickly grab my nail gun because I'm working alone. If you had a helper, you would have the helper give you the nail gun, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it, right? Come on. Get my nail gun ready. Put it in my side pouch. Now the kicker is going to be, I'm going to have to turn. Yes, I only brought one battery, so it's going to be a little dark, but then you'll see. All right. Almost fell off my ladder. All right, so so you're wondering, well, isn't the nail gonna punch through the drywall and come out the other side? No, because I'm using 1 3/16 inch brads, and I have 1/2 inch drywall and 2.4 inch foam, so that's bigger than 1 3/16 inches. So that is that. Yeah, turn the light back on. So now with the light back on, you'll see how that works. And the goal is if there's sound coming through, it will hopefully be absorbed somewhat from that. It's who knows what the science is on that, but I had the extra pieces. And if anything, it darkens the hole. So if you try to peek in there, you don't see white paint, but rather black, and looks pretty good. So thank you very much for watching this video. This is a pretty cool job. You can see the 3-dimensional aspects to the sculpture. So if you're trying to acoustically manage a room or a space, I can definitely tell the difference. I still hear some echoing because I do have some other walls that are hard. So I do have some bass traps coming, and I'll put those in. That's not a big deal. It's just in the corners, and we'll sort of see how that all plays out. So thank you very much. Please subscribe and like the video. Bye.